Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi will offer to step down. That's the buzz in Delhi. But will the Congress have the courage to accept their resignation? Can there be a Congress without the Gandhi family? Joining us on this show, one of the few Congress MPs who survived Tsunami, Congress MP from Thiruvananthapuram, Dr. Shashi Tharoor is joining us on this broadcast. Sadanand Dhume is also with us to help me question Dr. Shashi Tharoor on the future of the Congress party. I have a direct question for you, sir, on the top of the show. Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi are said to be willing to offer to resign. If they were to do so, would the Congress have the courage to accept their resignation, or will we see a round of sycophancy with everyone standing up and saying they've got a gun pointed at their head, they'll blow themselves up, the Gandhis can't resign? Similar things happened last time. Will we see an encore, or is it possible to conceive of a Congress party without the Gandhi family, sir?
Well, Rahul, first of all, I'm not a member of the Congress Working Committee, so I'm afraid I'm not going to be present if this happens. And your sources are the only sources that I've heard here in Thiruvananthapuram, so I can't speak to the reliability of these rumors. Let me just say, though, that from the point of view of a Congress member of Parliament like myself, who joined the party under the presidency of Sonia Gandhi, and who's aware that after the election defeats of 96, 98 and 99, that she presided over the resurrection of the Congress in 2004 and the stunning victory of 2009, that to my mind, she has, in my view, a very strong responsibility to help steer the party towards revival. And therefore, I would be very much amongst the camp of those who would not be threatening to commit suicide or self-immolation, but who would like very much for her experience in having already revived the party once to success, to lead us again towards success in the future.
What you're saying is interesting. You want Sonia Gandhi to lead you back to success in the future. Is that, in some senses, a vote of no confidence in the leadership ability of Rahul Gandhi? Because he's virtually being mocked, not just questioned, but his candidature is now a subject of ridicule, and that is a very tough position for Rahul Gandhi to be in, Dr. Shashi Tharoor.
First of all, no, the question I thought was about the head of the party, and that's why I mentioned Sonia Gandhi. But I think the same logic would apply to the vice president. They have indeed led the party at a time of our worst ever electoral defeat in our history. I think that gives them also a certain responsibility to learn the lessons of that defeat and to help rectify them and lead us to success in future. There is a larger question, of course, about the sort of way in which the Gandhi party's DNA, I beg your pardon, the Congress party's DNA is inextricably mixed up with the Gandhi family's DNA as well, as it were. For the last few decades, the modern Congress party has indeed been held together most effectively by a member of that family at the leadership, and the reason is that we're such a large tent. We have everything from self-proclaimed Marxists to free marketers. There's a large ideological, cultural, regional variation accommodated within the party. But the one locus everyone agrees on has been the leadership of the
Sadanand Dhume has a question for you, Dr. Tharoor.
They have been absent during the 6 years.
Dr. Tharoor,
sure, just to finish the thought, when they had been absent during the 6 years of 91 to 96, 97, that's when you saw the party beginning to founder, and many of the most prominent faces of the party today left it in the 90s. Pranab Mukherjee left it, Chidambaram left it, Manishankar Iyer left it. These are all faces you identify with the Congress today, but they left in the absence of that kind of uniting leadership. So this is why for the party, the Gandhi family has a special place.
Dr. Tharoor, this is Sadanand Dhume. I have a question for you. Your point about the precedent and about the Gandhi family holding the party together for the last 40 years and also coming back after suffering setbacks are all very well taken. But I have a question about the leadership of Rahul Gandhi. Now, he has already led the party to a series of defeats. You had the Bihar defeat, you had the stunning defeat in Uttar Pradesh, and now you have this parliamentary defeat, which is really on a different scale from anything that the party has experienced before. Now, I get what you're saying very clearly, that you think that the party may still recover under his leadership. But are there any circumstances under which perhaps it would have gone too far and the party may in fact discover that he is not connecting with voters, he does not have the kind of political instincts that the party needs for revival? I mean, this is a big question. It can't constantly be dodged.
Well, as I said, not being in Delhi and not being part of these conversations with other Congress leaders, I have no idea what the sentiment is that your reporters have been suggesting exists. All I can say is that Rahul Gandhi represents a very different style of leadership from that of Narendra Modi. Clearly, the voters in this election plumped for the message of strong, decisive, I can do it all, just give me power kind of leadership, which has very effectively been sold to the nation by the BJP and Mr. Modi. Rahul Gandhi's is a much more inclusive, collegial style of leadership, where he says, I'll listen to you, I want to empower you, I want to help you get your things done. Not that I can solve everything myself, but that rather I can work with you. And that kind of leadership may seem to be out of sync with what the nation needs today. But it's entirely possible that a few years of Mr. Modi's leadership will drive voters kicking and screaming to the more inclusive, more collegial, more relaxed kind of leadership that Rahul Gandhi has to offer.
Dr. Tharoor, are we in denial tonight?
That this snapshot
the Congress seems to have been in denial mode for a very long time. I just want to play out the only reaction we have from Rahul Gandhi after this electoral debacle. And then I have various questions from Dr. Tharoor, who's an ace communicator himself, about the messaging, the posture and the attitude of Rahul Gandhi that comes through in this statement. Quick statement, he's not spoken much. I'm coming back to Dr. Tharoor on the other side.
I'd like to start by congratulating the new government. They've been given a mandate by the people of our country. So I wish the new government all the best. From my part, Congress party has done pretty badly. There's a lot for us to think about. And as Vice President of the party, I hold myself responsible for what has happened. Thank you.
Now, at a time when communication is everything, Dr. Tharoor, just look at that smile. Can we have it back on the screen? He's got a smile on his face. I don't know what it's communicating. It's almost as if he's relieved, some really good thing has happened. He's standing over there. Does he even realize? Look at that, there's a big smile. What's this smile about? Do you find it rather odd, Dr. Tharoor?
Dear Rahul, as you know, I'm sitting remotely in Thiruvananthapuram.
Surely you've seen these pictures. You're being very diplomatically correct. You're using all the experience you picked up as a diplomat to dodge all my questions. Surely you've seen Rahul Gandhi's reaction. Are you telling us tonight that you haven't seen Rahul's reaction since yesterday? I, for a second, am not prepared to believe that, sir.
All I've seen, unfortunately, and that too very briefly, is a newspaper account of it. I'm really stuck in a constituency, having just won an election that was a close fight. From early morning to late night, I'm visiting my constituents, party workers and community leaders around the city and the suburbs. I have had no time at all to be perusing the media, except when I'm appearing on it myself. My apologies. I'm, as an AICC spokesman, I should have obviously been sitting around watching TV all day, but I have not been. So let me just say, Rahul, as far as the smile, the body language, the posture, I don't know, because I can't see it and I haven't seen it. As far as the messaging is concerned, I think what he was saying was actually a right sign of leadership. A leader should stand up and take responsibility for something that's happened on his watch. It's more than Mr. Modi did about 2002, I might add. Here he's presided over a catastrophic political defeat and he said, I take responsibility. What's wrong with that messaging?
Dr. Tharoor, do you think that he should have had the grace to congratulate the new Prime Minister by name?
Well, that I think, you know, I suppose at that particular moment it didn't occur to him. I'm sure that he would have done so, and I am one of many Congress leaders who have congratulated Mr. Modi by name since then. I think there's no particular difficulty with acknowledging that this victory is as much Mr. Modi's as it is that of the BJP. And I've congratulated Mr. Modi both on
you have, but he hasn't. That's the difference.
And I must say,
you have, he hasn't. He's the Vice President of the Congress. You have no chance of becoming the Vice President of the Congress, and that's the problem.
It is the problem.
Listen, as I said, I'm the disadvantage that I'm as far away from Delhi as you can fly without falling into the water. So let me say that I have not been talking to Rahul Gandhi or to other Congress leaders. I'm speaking to you, let me say, with my own personal responsibility in saying that
but the idea of Modi, Dr. Tharoor, has a certain amount of appeal. And the reason for that is, here's a chaiwala from a small railway station in a small town called Vadnagar, rising to be India's Prime Minister, coming up the hard way. The embodiment of the Indian dream. We hear of the American dream, this is the equivalent, the Indian dream. And the antithesis to that is someone born in privilege with a silver spoon, who says he will be Prime Minister because a bunch of sycophants want him to be Prime Minister, not because he's earned his stripes, not because he's shown administrative acumen or any proof of the fact that he's capable of holding that job and doing a good job of it.
And may I add, Dr. Tharoor, that many people who have looked up to you and your own political journey have always looked at the fact that you have done so much on your own. The books you've written, the heights to which you rose in the United Nations and so on. So surely you can see why the idea of someone making something of their own life resonates with the people of India, and why the idea of being gifted power does not.
But I think that's a little unfair to the Gandhis, because they've never been gifted power. They've had to fight political elections and win them in a fractious democracy where anti-incumbency is an extremely common factor, and where very often governments...
But you can see the difference between Modi and Gandhi.
Let me stress that
you can see the difference between Modi's life story and Rahul Gandhi's, right?
I identify with the... No, I identify with the narrative that Rahul just summarized. Listen, I know it doesn't look like this, but my father walked barefoot 8 kilometers to school in his childhood in a village, and grew up and went off to study thereafter in London, where I was born. I've had a privileged upbringing because he had a life probably just as tough as Mr. Modi's to get to the point where he could give me the advantages I've had. So let me stress that I totally admire and reflect and respect, I beg your pardon, the desire to see personal accomplishment recognized. But I just want to stress that you can't hold somebody's fortunate ancestry against him. Jawaharlal Nehru was the son of an extremely affluent lawyer who owned the first car in Allahabad before any Englishman could afford a car there. And yet we don't hold that against him when we see what sacrifices he made to help fight for our independence, spend years in jail, and win us our freedom and lead our nation. So
but he spent time in jail.
Hold somebody's...
He did the hard work. You're watching a special post-poll discussion on Headlines today. We're now also joined by BJP leader Piyush Goyal from Thiruvananthapuram tonight. We've got Dr. Shashi Tharoor, one of the few Congress MPs to be able to hold on to his seat. Joining me in the studio Headlines today is National Affairs Editor Javed Ansari, and Sadanand Dhume is still with us. I don't know if you've noticed, and I'm not fully certain if this is by design or whether this is unconscious, but yesterday Narendra Modi started his first speech at 7 p.m. The second one started bang on the dot of the hour at 9. This evening, he started at 8 p.m., finished at 8:26, just in time for the news channels to be able to take their commercial breaks to hit 8:30 on time. The point that I'm making is, here's a man who understands how the media works. Here's a man who understands the importance of 24/7 messaging, the complete antithesis of Manmohan Singh. And over the next 5 years, he will continue to do the same. My first question tonight is to Piyush Goyal on whether this is happening by design, because we know that you're helping Narendra Modi in a lot of the messaging that the BJP has been doing, and that was your role during the campaign. When you start at 7, you start at 8, you start at 9, you're trying to capture at time. You're not starting at 7:55 because that's roughly when everyone's on a break. You start at 8, everyone's cutting to you, you've got mass mileage happening for you. This is free publicity as well. Is this all happening by design, Piyush Goyal?
I think it's probably divine intervention.
Really?
I don't think we can micromanage Mr. Modi's entry onto a stage, the earlier speeches and everything to that precision. Certainly we cannot set the timings of the Ganga Aarti. It is done by the priests over there. Certainly Mr. Modi cannot know that he will exactly reach through helicopters and planes at any venue. But I must tell you that we didn't have to pay for this airtime. It was the TRPs and the people who watched those television channels that got him the viewership. I think that's the essential difference which this election had. I cannot sell a perfume which doesn't smell good. You have to be a reliable leader, you have to be an honest leader, somebody the people can trust, somebody the people can look up to for change, somebody in whom their aspirations can find a hope for the future. I think that leader is somebody whom we were able to show to the world, and that is the leader the world has, or rather the nation has adopted.
Dr. Tharoor, you've seen a lot of politics in the United States. You know that this is all consciously designed. Nothing happens by accident. They know exactly when to start a press conference, just after the headlines when they know that everyone will cut to them. That's the way it is. We're seeing the BJP do exactly the same. During the election campaign, Piyush Goyal was running a team that had promos up the next morning. They'd work through the night, take what Narendra Modi said in the evening, have that promo up on air after having been checked by the Election Commission by the next morning. It almost seems in comparison